everyone, welcome to another crochet tutorial with me, Laura, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make my moonflower granny square. Now my little moonflower granny square follows on from last video's tutorial for my sunstar granny square, and I actually thought they were the same size, but I've actually added an extra round for the moon one, so it's ended up being slightly bigger. But if you want these to be exactly the same, then don't do the last round of the moonflower. But if you want to check out this tutorial, it's on my channel. It was my latest video, Sunstar Granny Square, so go have a look if you want to do that one. But today we're going to make this one, and I'm just using a DK light worsted weight yarn. It could even be a 4-ply yarn, so it's a very similar weight yarn to the yellow one I used. And with that, I'm using a 2.5mm crochet hook. Okay, so let's begin. So we're going to start off with our little slip knot, and we're going to do something a little bit different this time. We're going to chain 10 to begin. Chain 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put our hook into the first chain that we created, so this little chain at the beginning here, and we're going to bring the yarn through that chain and straight through the loop on your hook. So you've ended up with, rather than a full chain loop like most of my patterns, you've got a 10 chain loop with a really big hole in the middle. And into the center of there we're going to work 18 double crochets. So this pattern's in US terminology, but in UK terminology that's going to be a treble. But we're going to start off by chaining 3 to begin. So chain 1, 2 and 3, but we're not going to count those as a stitch, so we'll just ignore those. It just gives us a bit of leverage. And we're going to yarn over, and we're going to put our hook into the center of this big loop, bring the yarn through, and just wrapping it around the chains, work a double crochet. And we want 18 of those, so that's 1, 2, 3, and I've got this horrible tag on my yarn here, so we're just going to work with that. So good example to see how I work with this. How many have we done? 1, 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 15, and if you're running out of room you just have to move your stitches over a little bit. 16, 17, then 18. So we've got 18 double crochets plus those 3 chains. So to check your stitch count, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17, 18. And then what we want to do is skip those chains and slip stitch in the top of that first double crochet. So just go into the stitch at the top and do a little slip stitch, and hopefully these are nicely evenly spaced. You might have a little bit of tail end left over that you want to sew in or trim down. We should end up with this sort of like mint polo sort of shape. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start in the same stitch as our slip stitches. We're going to chain 3 to begin. 1, 2 and 3, and we're going to do a double crochet in the same stitch we just slip stitched into. So go back into there and do a double crochet, or treble in UK terminology. And then we're going to work a bead stitch, so a double crochet bead stitch. And to do that we're going to yarn over, and we're going to put our hook in between the chains and the double crochet, just in between there. Grab the yarn and then just relax the yarn and just bring up a bit of a loop, so about 1 centimetre long. I'm going to do that 3 times, so yarn over again and go back into there, bring the yarn through, then just bring it up. One more time. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over and pull through all those loops, and then we're going to chain 2. 1 and 2. Okay, so that does a little 3 double crochet bead stitch. Then what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over and we're going to skip one stitch, so skip the next stitch, then in the next stitch do a double crochet. And then we're going to do another bead stitch, so we're going to yarn over and go in between this big gap now, grab the yarn, just bring up a little loop, do that twice more, yarn over, one more, okay, and then pull through all loops, chain 2. If this is a little bit fast for you, then I do recommend checking out some of my beginner tutorials, especially on the bead stitch and the double crochet. But then what we're going to do this time, we're not going to skip one, we're going to go straight into the next stitch. So go straight into the next stitch, do a double crochet. We're going to do another bead stitch around that double crochet post as well. So yarn over, go into the gap in between, bring up a little loop, do that twice more. Yarn over, pull through all loops, then chain 2. This time, however, we are going to skip a stitch, so we're going to skip one, then do a double crochet in the next stitch. So we're alternating between skipping a stitch and not skipping a stitch. Let's do a double crochet, then do another bead stitch around there. Chain 2. This time we don't skip a stitch, we go straight into the next stitch. Do another bead stitch. Chain 2. This time though we are going to skip a stitch, so skip one and do a double crochet in the next stitch. And then do a bead stitch around that stitch. 1, 2, 3, chain 2, yarn over, and then this time we're not going to skip a stitch, we go straight into the next stitch, and we just repeat this format all the way around. So this particular bead stitch is a 3 double crochet bead stitch. Chain 2. Did I chain 2 between that one? Yes, I did. And we didn't skip a stitch last time, so this time we skip one, a double crochet in the next stitch. Do another bead stitch. Chain 2. Then we don't skip a stitch, go straight into the next stitch. Do another bead stitch. Chain 2. And then we skip one and do a double crochet in the next stitch. Do a bead stitch. Chain 2. Then we don't skip a stitch. Trying to remember what I'm doing. So straight into the next stitch. So we skipped one there, but we don't skip one there. And then do another bead stitch. Chain 2. Then at the very end you should have 2 stitches there. We're going to skip that stitch, and then the very last stitch we do a double crochet. If we can work into the stitch properly. And then we do one more bead stitch around there. Chain 2, don't forget to chain 2. Then what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch, skip these chains, and we're going to slip stitch into the top of this double crochet bead stitch. Kind of doesn't really matter where you slip stitch, so don't worry too much. Okay, so you should end up with something that looks like this, and you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's right, you should have 12 of these little bead stitches. So now we're going to move on to round 3, which is actually my favourite round because I think it makes it look really nice. And we're going to start off with a double crochet. We're going to go straight into this first 2 chain space. So we're going to yarn over, going into that big gap. We're going to do a double crochet, or a treble in UK terminology. And then we're going to chain 2 and do another double crochet in the same 2 chain space. You end up with this cute little V shape. We're going to do that all the way around, so we're going to yarn over straight away and go into the next 2 chain space and do a double crochet, chain 2, then another double crochet in the same 2 chain space. So it starts looking like that. So repeat that all the way around. So you don't chain in between, you only chain those 2 in between the V. Go into the next 2 chain space, do a double crochet, chain 2, another double crochet. So repeat this all the way around back to the beginning, just doing 1 double crochet, chain 2, 1 double crochet in each 2 chain space around until you get back to the beginning. So just coming back up to the beginning in the last 2 chain space, 1 double crochet, chain 2, 1 double crochet. That's the end of round 3. We're just going to slip stitch in this first chain 2 space that we made. So just slip stitch into there to join the round. So hopefully it looks something like this. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do like our little flower petals now, and we're going to start off by chaining 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to work a 3 treble crochet cluster. So don't worry, it's not as scary as it sounds. And to do that, we are going to yarn over twice to do a treble. In UK terminology, this is going to be called a double treble. So we wrap the yarn around our hook twice. We're going to go into this same 2 chain space that we just slip stitched into, bring the yarn through, and then we're going to yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and do that again, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. But we're going to stop there and wrap the yarn around our hook twice again. Go back into the same 2 chain space, do the same thing again. We yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, but then we stop. Do that one more time, wrap the yarn around our hook twice, go into the same space again, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and now we're finished. We should have 4 loops left. We're just going to yarn over, pull through all 4 loops to join them together. And then we are going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and we're going to slip stitch in that same 2 chain space as well. Just do a little slip stitch, so you end up with this cute little flower petal here. Then we're going to slip stitch in this little upside down V gap here. So this gap here, we're going to slip stitch into there, and then we're going to slip stitch in the next 2 chain space and repeat the same thing. So chain 4, 2, 3 and 4, do your 3 treble crochet cluster. So wrap the yarn around your hook twice, pull through 2, stop, wrap the yarn around your hook twice, back into the same gap, pull through 2, pull through 2, stop, one more time to the same 2 chain space, pull through 2, pull through 2, 4 loops, yarn over, pull through all 4 loops. Then we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to slip stitch in the 2 chain space as well. Okay, so there's your next one, and then we're going to slip stitch in this upside down V gap, and then slip stitch in the next 2 chain space. So just repeat that all the way around until you get back to the beginning. Chain 4. Okay, so just coming up to the last 2 chain space, doing our last petal, chain 4, 3 treble crochet cluster, pull through all 4 loops, chain 4, slip stitch stitch in the same 2 chain space, then slip stitch in this very last little gap here. Okay, so hopefully you've got something that looks like a really cute flower. So again, you've got like the Sunstar granny square. You could keep it at this stage, just have a nice flower, or you can turn it into a square. So what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch up to the middle treble crochet of this first petal. So this middle one in the middle here, we want to slip stitch up to there. We're just going to randomly just go into that 3 chain space. Not randomly, we're going into the 3 chain space, and then loosely we're just going to go into that top stitch. You can do 1 or 2 or even 3 slip stitches, but just get yourself up to the top there. And then what we're going to do, in the same middle treble stitch, so where you just slip stitch, we're going to do a single crochet. So in UK terminology, that's a double crochet. And we're going to chain 2. We like chaining 2 in this pattern. We're going to do another single crochet in that middle treble. Okay, so you get this kind of like little picot on the end. Doesn't look like much at the moment, but we shall continue that all the way around. Then what we're going to do is we're going to chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So we chain 6. Then in the top of this next petal, in this middle treble, we're just going to do 1 single crochet. So just the 1. Then we're going to chain 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to do 1 single crochet in the top of the next petal. Make sure I'm going into that stitch properly. Okay, then we're going to chain 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Then in this next one we're going to do what we did at the beginning. We're going to do, so in the middle treble, on top of that petal, we're going to do 1 single crochet, chain 2, then another single crochet in the same stitch. Because what this is going to be, this is going to be the corner, and that's going to be the side of your square. So even though it still looks quite round at the moment, we're slowly getting into a square shape. So then we're going to chain 6 again. 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Then the next petal, the top, we're just going to do 1 single crochet. Just the 1. Chain 6. One single crochet in the top of the next petal. Okay, chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then in the next one we're going to do 1 single crochet, chain 2, 1 single crochet. So this is going to be our corner. And then that's our next corner. You can slowly start seeing the corners appear. So we're going to repeat that all the way around, if I don't knock the camera. So I'm going to chain 6, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just 1 single crochet, chain 6, just 1 single crochet. So we just do 1 single crochet in the 2 petals before we do a corner. Chain 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then in the next one, at the top of the petal, we do 1 single crochet, chain 2, 1 single crochet in there again. So you get that little picot. So almost back at the beginning, got 2 petals left, so we chain 6. Then 1 single crochet, chain 6. One single crochet in the next petal, just the 1, chain 6, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and we're going to slip stitch in this first 2 chain space. So it's a little 2 chain space at the beginning. Okay, so that's our corner, so it's going to start turning into a square, so it still looks a little bit sort of circular and hexagonal, but we're going to neaten it off now in the last 2 rows. Now this round 6, if you want it to be the same size as this square, exactly the same size, then just do round 6 and then stop. Otherwise I have added an extra round as well, just to make it look more of a more square, but what we're going to do is we're going to chain 3, 2 and 3, and we're going to do 2 double crochet in the same 2 chain space. So go back into there, do 2 double crochet or treble crochets in UK terminology. Okay, and then we're going to chain 2. We like chaining 2, and then 3 double crochet in there as well. So go back in there again and do 3 double crochet. So we're creating this big fan on the corner here. Okay, then in the 6 chain space, so this big gap here, we're going to start off with 2 double crochet. So we're going to do 1, 2 double crochet, and then we're going to do 3 half double crochets. So yarn over, pull through all 3. So I want 3 of those. In UK terminology, these are half trebles. 2 and 3. Okay, then in the next 6 chain space, we're going to do 5 single crochet. So we do 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So we've got 5 single crochet across there. Then in the next 6 chain space, we're going to start off with 3 half double crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to do 2 double crochets. 1 and 2, and then we're at our next corner. So you should have arrived at this other little picot thing you did on the corner. So in that little 2 chain space, we're going to start off with 3 double crochets. So these chains at the beginning are counting as a double crochet. Do 3 double crochet or trebles in UK terminology. So that's 1, 2, 3. Then what was it? Chain 2, 1 and 2, and do another 3 double crochet in there. 1, 2 and 3. So now you can see it's becoming more square shape. So then we're going to repeat these steps all the way around. So in the next 6 chain space, we start off with 2 double crochet, 1 and 2, then 3 half double crochets, 1, 2, 3. Then in the next 6 chain space, we do 5 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Then the next 6 chain space, we do 3 half double crochets. So we do it in reverse. 2, 3, 2 double crochet, and then we're at our next corner. So you're up to this next little picot. So we do 3 double crochet in that tiny little 2 chain space. If it's a little bit too small, you can always do 3 chains on the corner. So we're going to do 3 double crochet to begin, 1, 2 and 3, then we chain 2 and do another 3 double crochet in here. 2 and 3. So repeat that all the way round until you get back to the beginning, and then I'll join you here. Okay, and to end this round we're just going to slip stitch in the top of this 3 chain as neatly as you can. Okay, so if you want this to be the same size, like I've said before, just repeating myself now, if you want it to be the same size as the Sunstar one I did in my last video, then stop on this round. And these are the same size, but I just wasn't completely happy with the slight curvature. So if you want to do this as an independent granny square, I recommend doing this next round, the last round, just to really bring it together. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to start off with a little chain 1 just for leverage, don't count that as a stitch. Then starting in the top of these chains again, we're going to do 1 single crochet. So we're going to go back into there and do another single crochet. Then we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. We're going to the next stitch, to the next stitch. And that brings us to the corner, and in the corner we're going to do 2 half double crochets. So in this 2 chain space on the corner, in that big gap, do 2 half double crochets, 1 and 2, or half trebles in UK terminology, and chain 1, so just the 1, and then another 2 half double crochets in there. Ooh, nearly lost that one. 1 and 2, okay, all in that 2 chain space, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next 3. So the important thing with this is that the first stitch is very hidden underneath these stitches, so you need to look for that post there and find the stitch above. It's very easy to go into this next one, so be careful to find the stitch at the top of there, and do 1 single crochet and 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and 1 single crochet in the next stitch. So 1 single crochet in the next 3, 1 2 3, and then we're going to slip stitch in the next 15 stitches. So just a slip stitch in the next 15. So that's 1, 2, 3, 12, 13, 14 and 15. Okay, so we've slip stitched in the next 15 across there. Then we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next 3, which should take us up to this next corner. So 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then we've come up to the 2 chain space, and in there we're going to do the same thing. We'll do 2 half double crochets, 1 and 2, chain 1, and then another 2 half double crochets. Oops, 1 and 2, and then we're going to repeat the same thing all the way around. So we do 1 single crochet in the next 3, slip stitch in the next 15, 1 single crochet in the next 3, and then in the corner we do 2 half double crochet, chain 1, 2 half double crochet, all the way back to the beginning. So I'm going to do that, and then I come back and my battery's about to die, so I'm going to crack on with this quickly. It's just coming up to the end, ending on the 15 slip stitches, and then just slip stitch into the first single crochet to finish. And there we go, there is our moonflower granny square. And as you can see, with that extra round, it is slightly bigger, but you know, you can probably, I mean, it's pretty much the same size. I'm just being really fussy. But I hope you enjoyed crocheting along with me as much as I've enjoyed designing this granny square, and I will see you soon for some more crochet fun. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.